contractually obligated to be here. I mean, I like it, but if I say that I wasn't going to come, a lot of phone calls, a lot of angry phone calls.
Guilty pleasures now. Fargo. I love that show. Love that show. Have you watched it? You watched Fargo? Oh my God. Fargo. Obviously Game of Thrones. I'm told that Stranger Things is like unbelievable. So
I've been promoting that all day.
I can't wait to check it out.
I used to collect comic books. Yeah. But now they're the ones that I would like to collect are a lot more expensive. So it's a real guilty pleasure to spend.
Huge Pokemon nerd, but I almost was such a serious Pokemon nerd that the idea of it being this cool thing is I feel a bit protective of it. That cool people are oh, catch them all, Pokemon. I'm no, that. I felt like a real Pokemon fan, and I think now it's just it's mainstream. No, that's a terrible.
I've never experienced anything like it. I've been on other shows before, but nothing like the fan base of the Vampire Diaries and the originals. It's just been incredible. They're just die-hard fans, and they really care, and it's been very humbling. I'm very grateful for them. They're the reason we're here, so it's awesome.
I mean, initially, coming onto the Vampire Diaries and riding the coattails of a show that was already a hit, and then taking that power, stealing it, getting my own show, using it for evil, and then being a part of that whole thing and watching the character evolve and really some favorite episodes for me are probably season 1 episode 8, season 1 episode 16.
I will be hunting, working with the boys, and trying to digest the new reality of being 28 still, and my boys are grown men and gigantic.
Baby was it's a really special episode, and that was I don't think anybody other than Robbie could have written that, and Tom Wright did a spectacular job directing it. Technically that was a really hard show to do. I think this season, just the way we planned it, is going to be more intimate than certainly that sort of big Uber story we told last year.
One time after it was raining, the graveyard scene where honestly, Jensen, honestly, he got me every time. Totally did, and we're huddled on the trailer afterwards together, and Rob and Jensen got their guitars and stuff.
Winchester Brothers, and if we don't care about the Winchester Brothers, we really don't have much to watch. Right. As much as Maisha and myself and the other stories are interesting, it's not supernatural without the boys.
I loved it actually. I really enjoyed it. I felt like Cass's turn as a human wasn't quite as long as it could have been, and I really enjoyed playing him as a human. But when we got into Lucifer, I was worried that it was going to be cut short somehow. And the truth is, I ended up getting to play almost a whole season of Lucifer, and I really enjoyed that.
And I think that's, I love being a part of a world that supplies us with that. And so it's always refreshing when somebody maybe points out a story point or points out a character point that I didn't really see it that way, but that makes perfect sense.
Some disagreement, but this is the first time we'll see Sam as a son, because he was never that. It was never like, oh, Dad, or like, hey, Dad, it was always like you, like butting heads and contentious, and like you made me do. He put a lot of blame on his dad and used his dad as a scapegoat for a long time. The irony being that it's probably Mom's fault more than Dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was the Campbell, she was the hunter. It was her family that brought Azazel into our lives, and I think Sam's going to have to come to terms with that and realize that maybe his dad wasn't all evil. And had the tables been turned, Mary probably would have done the same thing if John was on the ceiling burning. She probably would have hunted this thing down and killed it.
Well, the movie from 1978, we updated it to a modern day setting, but more importantly, we took the same premise, and it is the same story that it launches us into, where the Time Machine is just the first book, and we get into the island of Dr. Moreau, we get into the Invisible Man, and we get into the War of the Worlds, but we're doing it in a very grounded, very modern context, so that it's not so. It sort of shows sort of a realistic version of all of those stories.